folks, welcome to Kick Weekly with Tim Wheaton. This is episode 44. We have tons of different things to talk about, but in a little bit of a different setting today. You know, we only got a few more weeks of sunshine here in the UK, and we gotta live it up while we got it. You know, and maybe that's a bit of a metaphor for life, but maybe it's just we got to enjoy the sun while we have it. So I'm in this side of my house today so I can get a little bit of sunshine. But folks, tons of things to talk about today. We had Glory last week and we had a Rise last week. Upcoming this weekend is a major one championship event that is a must watch. You got to tune in for that one. And also on this upcoming weekend is a major fight with Rise Fighting Championship. So tons of action is going on this weekend. And we got a little bit of breaking news as well that just came out this morning. So folks, let's talk all about it. And I'm not going to bury the lead any further. I know most people tuning in do want to talk about Jonathan Haggerty versus Superlek. So Jonathan Haggerty and Superlek met quite a few years ago. I want to say 2018, 2019, something like that. And there's not a ton that we can really pull from that fight. There's not a ton of value because both are such different fighters. And Superlek was clearly the better fighter in that match, but Jonathan Haggerty, he was just developing at that point. You know, he was slowly getting better and he was a really young guy. That was well before he was in one championship and trading fights with Rod Tang and stuff like that. Superlek was beating him. And what was happening at Jonathan Haggerty was using a lot of his very specialized teep kicks, and his teep kicks became a signature of his overall style. That is the thing that he does best. Like even fighters like Sam A had said that Jonathan Haggerty has tremendous and impressive teep kicks. And coming from someone like him, that means quite a bit. So at the time he was throwing teep kicks, and what Superlek was able to do was catch, sweep it to the side, and then he would come in from an elbow with the opposite hand. And that's really impressive stuff. And he did that quite a few times throughout the match, realizing that with the high guard, with the teeps, that essentially if you sweep someone's foot off to the side, they're on one foot. They're not going anywhere. So bring in with an elbow from the opposite side. And he did that over and over again. I think they only fought over 2 rounds, but it ended up opening a cut. So Jonathan Haggerty couldn't continue because of the elbow. So Superlek was declared the winner. And now if that cut didn't happen, that was going to be the ultimate result anyway. Superlek seemed like he was well ahead, just cruising towards a victory there. Now, one thing that the commentators did say stuck out to me because the commentator said, Jonathan Haggerty sure looks sharp, but not enough power to keep Superlek off of him. And that's a key thing because Haggerty was actually landing quite a few punches, kicks, elbows, knees here and there. It just didn't bother Superlek even a little bit. Superlek was still playing his game, was still doing his usual stuff, walking forward, walking down Haggerty. Now, several years later and up a weight class, those same strikes now have a lot more sauce on them. They have a lot more power on them. Jonathan Haggerty, since going up in weight, has looked pretty amazing over his last few fights, and that guy is packing a ton of power now. Whereas like his shots were pretty good when he was fighting people like Rod Tang and Joey Linguini, and people like this, and he was doing very well in that weight class. Going up in weight changed his entire career because now those punches are just packing so much power. Went up in weight, he got 1 win. It was not bad, but then he fought Nongo for the title and was able to knock him out in the first round and made it just look easy. Absolutely amazing performance from the young Jonathan Haggerty at that point, clearly getting better. Adding more tricks to his game and adding more power to his game made a massive difference. Next, he fought Fabricio Andrade, who is the MMA champion, fought him for a kickboxing title. Really fun little fight, but he was clearly one step ahead there. And again, knocked him out because of how much more power he's carrying on that frame now. And then his very most recent fight was a title defense against the Brazilian Felipe Lobo. And Jonathan Haggerty was able to knock him out with a series of different punches and things like that. But the Felipe Lobo fight really gives me a lot of pause about how I think this fight could go, but there's a lot of X factors. So those X factors, of course, are going up in a new weight class. Superlek hasn't fought in this weight class before, at least not in one championship, and fighting at elevation in Colorado. Haggerty went out to Colorado 8 weeks ago, so he's really acclimatized to this weight class. He's acclimatized to the weight class, but he's certainly acclimatized to fighting at elevation as well. Whereas Superlek went out there 4 days ago. But let's just talk about the fight as is if this was happening at sea level in Bangkok at a regular stadium, something like that. And both of them were experienced at this weight. What Felipe Lobo was able to do was exploit the high guard from Jonathan Haggerty and dig to the body quite a bit and landed some really impressive punches that way. When you have a high guard, it's like, okay, so you want layers in your defense, right? So first layer is moving your feet back to evade strikes. Second layer is going to be moving your head out of the way to evade strikes. Next layer is going to be parrying punches, smacking them down, following up with your own. And the very last layer of defense is putting your dukes up. And the reason that's the last layer is because, especially in these tiny gloves that One Championship uses, that's not going to do a heck of a lot. But not only that, your body is wide open while you're doing that, and you're not going to return striking from here, and you leave it open to counter punches. The front is wide open. The double forearm guard in these tiny gloves is one of the worst ways to protect yourself, and Felipe Lobo was able to use that to his advantage, digging to the body, making the double forearm guard come up, and then attacking the head. And he knocked down Jonathan Haggerty in the first round, slumped him in the ropes. So it was an awesome comeback from Jonathan Haggerty that he was able to do that. But ultimately, Felipe Lobo couldn't keep up with it. And what Haggerty did to counter that kind of onslaught was attacking a lot with elbows over the top. This guy's going to go to my body. Fine, I'll go to the top with elbows, and wore on him over a few rounds. It was a good fight. It was a ton of fun, but that kind of gives me pause to think that if someone like Felipe Lobo could do that to Jonathan Haggerty, yeah, I would imagine that Superlek could probably do that as well. While we do talk about the kicking machine Superlek as being primarily a Muay kick kind of fighter, over time he has become a full range Muay Fimu style fighter, meaning he's got everything. Like, his kicks are his bread and butter. There's no doubt about it. He's got a whole quiver full of dangerous kicks at any range, whether we're talking about teep kicks, we're talking about roundhouse kicks, lead kicks, switch kicks. It doesn't matter what range. We could be at the clinching range, or we could be across the ring from each other. This guy has kicks ready to go. He's got a quiver full of dangerous kicks. And it's that Kiatmoo cow special kick where they kind of turn the foot out just a little bit more to generate a little bit more power. He's an absolute master at this kick. But overall, his entire game is great. Like, as we've seen in One Championship, it's not just his kicks. He's got knockouts with punches to the head and to the body, elbow attacks that he used furiously against Rodtang. He's dangerous and clever in the clinch to set up knees and elbows. Like, this guy is a Muay Thai master. This is why he's number one pound for pound right now, because he's just that talented. He's just that good. So what do I think is going to happen? If this fight was happening in Bangkok at a weight class where both of them had competed before, happening at sea level, this is a Superlek win, and I think a pretty easy Superlek win at that. But the elevation gives me a little bit of pause. Now, this isn't to say that Superlek is a flawless fighter in any way. Ilias Enahashi, kickboxing top contender, I think former champion, gave Superlek a lot of trouble by kicking with him. So every time that Superlek was trying to kick, Ilias Enahashi kicked him. Just kicked the trailing leg, the leg that was still keeping him on the ground, kicked that out from under him. And he struggled with that game plan to find success, but he gave Superlek more problems than anyone else has. So Superlek is on a tremendous win streak right now. I think since 2022, he's won like 12 fights in Muay Thai. He fought Super Ball. He fought Rodtang. He beat Takeru. The Rodtang fight was absolutely amazing. A full breadth of Muay Thai action going down in that matchup. And then he fought Takeru next, and it was an amazing matchup. He fought under Takeru's rules, K1 kickboxing rules. He fought in Tokyo against him, and none of it mattered. Superlek made it look like he was in a lower league than his opponent, Takeru. And Takeru had injuries at the end of that fight and could barely walk. Absolutely a tremendous, all-time great performance from Superlek when he beat Takeru. One of the biggest feather in his cap moments. Like that was absolutely surreal. So just saying, oh yeah, kick with him. Oh yeah, just do this. Far easier said than done. But again, fighting in Denver is no joke. Colorado is way above sea level. Even the best athletes in the world, whether we're talking about places like Mexico City or, places like this or Denver, Colorado, that fighting at elevation like that is absolutely no joke. It is a factor in this fight. Going up in weight for the first time, again, that is a factor in this fight. So if you were to want to fight Superlek at any moment in his career. Right now, he is at the highest moment of his career. Kickboxing title, he's beaten the Muay Thai champion already. He's beaten the Takeru already. This is the highest point in his career, but it's also a transitionary moment. So now is a really good opportunity for someone like Jonathan Haggerty to find those opportunities to land on Superlek. Maybe he's able to mix in low kicks to attack the trailing legs. Maybe he's able to land elbows up tight and close. Maybe he's able to use a lot of his strength, a lot of his power that he's been growing into for the last year or two, where Superlek hasn't quite. Maybe he's able to do all that. Now, as of right now, on the betting, if you're looking at the betting lines, it is very close. It's a bit of a pick'em fight, but Superlek is just a slight favorite. Again, he is the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world, so Jonathan Haggerty is just a slight underdog looking to defend his title in this matchup. So maybe there's some good betting there. Maybe there's some good lines. Make sure I'm recording. Could you imagine if I wasn't recording? But I mean, the safe pick is Superlek. He's just too good. He's too fast. He's too solid. He's too competent. He's too experienced. He's never been knocked out before. Rarely in his career have you seen him stumble. And like, it's hard to imagine that we're going to see any new tricks. Like think about the list of people that he's fought. Like, we're talking about people like Super Ball, and he fought Seksan in stadium Muay Thai rules. He fought Rod Tang under the 4-ounce Muay Thai entertainment rules. He fought Takeru under kickboxing rules. He fought Nabil Anane and just knocked him out like it was absolutely nothing. Like, just tremendous, tremendous work from him. And I think he's looked amazing over the last few fights. So that's why really Superlek has to be your pick going into this matchup here. But you know, Jonathan Haggerty getting his hand raised, becoming the face of one championship, beating Superlek, that is an absolutely massive moment for this man right here. And it could absolutely happen. I could see that happening. But again, if I think this is going to end up being quite a trilogy, win or lose between these two. And I think having the rematch in Bangkok or something like that, Superlek gets it done back at sea level. I don't want to discount or discourage anyone, saying Jonathan Haggerty can't beat him at sea level, but that's largely what I'm saying. Anyway, let's take a look at the rest of 168 here. Liam Harrison versus Seksan. Seksan, getting those bonuses, always performance bonuses, because he's always an incredibly entertaining fights in Lumpini Stadium, getting those $10,000 bonuses here and there. I imagine this fight he's going to get the huge $50,000 bonus out of it. The man always goes to war. The man just never gives up. The man who yields to no one. Back in the day, he gave Superlek tons of problems. And win or lose against this man, he gives his opponents tons and tons of problems and tons of things to deal with and tons of issues. He's a pain in the ass to fight, in all honesty. Now Liam Harrison, one of the best legacies of foreign fighters competing in Muay Thai. One of the first, a trailblazer of English Muay Thai. And rose to the highest levels when he was a bit younger on the stadium scene, won world titles, kind of had a late career resurgence. And that's what we were seeing in one championship at the amazing fight against Muay Thai, where in 2 minutes, these two guys traded knockdowns back and forth. They had 5 knockdowns in like 3 minutes or something like that. An absolutely insane fight. One of the best Muay Thai fights in history here. And then he fought Nongo, had a knee injury. And that was a really bad knee injury. Put him out for like 2 years, and that knee injury was there for quite a while as well. It wasn't a new one. I think he was just trying to say like, I'll keep fighting anyway. I have a title fight, so I'm just going to pretend like I don't have an injury. And then in the fight, it came up and he was pretty mad. So this is his first fight back since that knee injury. Seksan in that time has taken like 6 or 7 fights in one championship, won nearly all of them, coming off a loss in his most recent fight. So maybe he's a bit hungry. But the man is motivated because he always wants to pay for his kids' education. And like I was talking to SEMP yesterday on their live stream, like, Seksan, how many kids do you got? Your kids' education has to be covered now. Like, your grandkids' education is up next at this point, right? But yeah, I think he's going to get the fight of the night bonus, nice $50,000 for his kids' education. And I think Seksan is going to win this fight as well. The time away for Liam Harrison, I know he's always a gamer, always an exciting fighter, but just looking at all the variables coming into this fight, it's got to be a Seksan victory. But let's take a look at the rest of the fight card while we're here. Angla and Song is going to be fighting Shamil Edrigan, who is an impressive wrestler. John Lineker, powerful UFC MMA fighter. So Bibiano Fernandez was out there setting the record for the most title defenses in one championship history. And Bibiano Fernandes is also a little bit of a legend in the smaller weight classes, being a trailblazer before those weight classes were accepted in the UFC and even in the WEC, because he was a dream champion just after the fall of Pride. John Lineker comes in, knocks him out in the second round. Not a big deal. John Lineker, of course, would then go on to lose his title to the young, streaking, impressive Fabricio Andrade. But John Lineker is just one of those guys, almost 50 fights in MMA, has been fighting forever, tons and tons of power, and he's willing to fight anyone. Like, he just got a match against Shinya Aoki, who wasn't even close in terms of size or anything like that, which was kind of a bizarre fight, if I'm being honest. However, it doesn't matter. Now he's going to be fighting in Muay Thai. This is his Muay Thai debut in the smaller gloves, but he's going to be fighting Asa Tenpao. Asa Tenpao, the American Ninja, inspired as a young man to get into combat sports by Kung Lee. And he wants the Triple Crown because he already has wins in Muay Thai, MMA, and kickboxing. And now he comes into one championship and has the ability to potentially become a world champion in all three. And that's what his goal has been since entering one, to become the triple sport champion. Let's just say, all things being equal, who wins this Muay Thai fight? I'm always going to bet on the Muay Thai fighter winning in their own sport, right? In MMA, I might pick a different way, but it's got to be Asa Tenpao. And then you can look at the height and reach difference between these two, and they're going to look like they're like 2 or 3 weight classes apart. John Lineker wasn't even big when he was fighting guys his size, but now Asa Tenpao is going to be towering over him. Given that, good for John Lineker. He's always willing to sign on the dotted line. You give him a phone call, ask him if he's ready to fight. He is. He wants to fight. But yeah, this is a good victory for Asa Tenpao here. Let's see what else we got here. The young Adrian Ali is going to be fighting Nico on this card. I want to see one, not hype up Adrian too much or push him too quickly. Fight people within his own skill range, people at his level. Given that he's in a major promotion, a lot of people are going to think that he should be fighting top 5 guys and building his name that way. But I think a young builder like him should be fighting fighters at his own level. Like, this guy was fighting amateur last year. You know, he's 18 years old, fresh out of high school. He just won a kickboxing amateur tournament in Hawaii. You know, shouldn't be rushed too quickly professionally. Now, speaking on someone who's at the same age, but given the exact opposite treatment, is Jojo Ghazali here, who is just a megastar. This guy is so impressive. Bunch of wins in one championship, bunch of knockout wins in one championship. He's only 17 years old, just suffered his first loss here. No shame in that at all. Most young people take their losses in smaller promotions and then grow that way. He just happens to be fighting in a major promotion, and he's going to take a few losses along the way. 17-year-old taking a loss in Muay Thai after a series of wins, so really not a big deal here. So that's a really fun fight there. I am expecting Jojo Ghazali to beat his opponent, Josel Cruz. But it should be a fun fight. I am expecting a knockout victory for Jojo there. And I'm really looking forward to more from Jojo. He keeps getting better in between fights. Just a young guy, 17 years old. He's good on the microphone as well. There's a ton of potential in this young man to be, a prodigy of Muay Thai, in all honesty. So it's going to be a really fun card. Make sure to check out 1168, which is going down this weekend, folks. Now let's jump over to this past weekend. We had Glory 94, and it was a really fun event. Make sure to check this out wherever you can. I think it's still for sale on places like Triller. No matter where you are in the world, you should be able to get it somewhere like that. And it's absolutely awesome. You can get the replay. I think it's like $9 or whatever, but make sure to check it out. Also, before I jump in, shout out to the Kickboxing Podcast, and I'm going to link it down below because he did a post-fight breakdown of Glory 94 just as soon as it wrapped up, and he did an incredible job of it. I always give credit to people when they do great work. And to be honest, most people in the kickboxing space do amazing work, and it's such an area of passion. So look, the Kickboxing Podcast does much better work than I do. So make sure to check him out. He does most of his stuff in Dutch, but this show was in English, so it was just awesome to get his breakdown. He is so knowledgeable when it comes to kickboxing. He's got tons of insider information, tons of great insights as well. So honestly, I would say thank you so much for listening to me. Go to the description and go listen to the Kickboxing Podcast because he did a much better job breaking down Glory 94. I'm still going to offer my crappy breakdown of Glory 94, but honestly, go watch his first because he's absolutely awesome. Mori Kuroma was able to defeat Mo Amine in a very, very dominant performance. Now, Mori Kuroma was the guy I said keep an eye on this young man. He's entering Glory on like 11 fight win streak in Infusion. He had a win before that, so he's coming in 12 fights unbeaten. The Black Ghost. It's just so exciting to have fresh blood entering in this light heavyweight division. Already, light heavyweight was an awesome division. Loved the light heavyweight division with how exciting it was, and they were making great signees. Now they keep adding more people like Mori Kuroma to it. So this is absolutely awesome to see that there's more fresh blood moving in on this division. Now he has just like we were talking about with Superlek, a whole repertoire of kicks in his quiver. He is dangerous with various roundhouse kicks, attacking to the head, the legs, the body, no matter where. And this guy at one point was throwing right kick to the head, left kick to the body, right kick to the leg combination. Amazing and awesome to see. And the kicks look so effortless for him. His switch kick is absolutely beautiful. His rear roundhouse kick is absolutely beautiful. Then add on top of that his teep kicks to the body, which looked so incredibly painful. I felt bad for Muhammad Amine because he was getting teeped to the body repeatedly from range and doubling over in pain. He was clearly in pain and falling over. Then add on top of that the knees. So, of course, against a long kicker, what you're going to want to do is try to close the range. Muhammad Amine was trying to close the range, and what happened? He ate a bunch of knees on the inside for his troubles. Eating knees to the body, to the guard, absolutely painful stuff. The refereeing was a little bit odd in this fight, I will admit, because I think a ton of those were knockdowns. Got hit in the body, doubled over in pain, fell to the canvas, and the ref said he slipped. I don't know about that one. That happened 2 or 3 times. I think there was 2 knockdowns, maybe 3. Definitely at least one that I recall off the top of my head. But ultimately, it didn't matter. Muhammad Amine didn't have a ton in this fight here. He's one of the guys who's fought in the top of the division, always willing to go to war, will always sign on the dotted line. And he's a ton of fun to watch in Glory Kickboxing. So I hope he keeps kickboxing, but I'm not sure what the future holds for Mo Amine. But Mori Kuroma, second round, towards the end of the round, lands a flying switch knee, which he was landing all night on the guard and on the body, but this time he landed it clean on the chin, and Muhammad Amine went down and was simply unable to recover. The great thing about the Black Ghost, Mori Kuroma, is he's just such a, he's got the showmanship as well. He gets up on the ropes. He's listening to the crowd boo him, cuts a great promo at the end, and then add on top of that the highlight reel that he's putting together in his fights. He is a promoter's dream, and now he's added to the very exciting light heavyweight division, which just keeps getting better and better and better. And yes, just like the Kickboxing Podcast was talking about, that there's a lot of shades of Remy Bonyaski, the Flying Dutchman, with those incredible switch kicks, the effortless head kicks. Just looking forward to more out of this young man. Mori Kuroma had to come out of this fight uninjured, except for maybe his shins and knees are sore from hitting his opponent. But hopefully we get him back in there soon, as there's a lot of talent at light heavyweight. Jay Overmeer needed a win in the welterweight division against Ismail Uzni. Jay Overmeer fought for a title, lost a close fight there, and then dropped 2 losses. This is the welterweight division. Sometimes that happens. It is the toughest division right now in Glory. The light heavyweight division is absolutely stacked. I agree. I know. I've just been saying that. Welterweight is right up there as one of the best divisions in Glory. It is a very, very good division. But Jay Overmeer taking a couple losses. Very talented fighter, needed a win, ended up getting it here, but it was a close and tough fight for him to get that victory. This was both of them were going into close range, throwing combinations, and it was just, Jay was just having a slight edge, but the fight was only about half done. Maybe Ismaili was able to get a comeback towards the end, make a couple of adjustments, and get the victory. But ultimately what happened, Jay Overmeer kept hitting the body. He was doing really well with those body kicks and body punches, and threw out something Something happened in his opponent's back. He pulled a muscle, called it a day. The referee waved it off, and that was it. Not the coolest way to get a TKO, but he needed the win, ended up getting it. Jay Overmeer's back in the win column, back in the competitive welterweight division with a very, very impressive win, and I'm happy to see it. Jay was a cool guy. Now, one of my favorite fights on the card, we had big sexy Nico Horta get a victory against Sofiane Laiduni. This was a heavyweight showdown. Now, Sofiane Laiduni, really impressive southpaw striker who loves to counterpunch because he's able to just lean back a little bit and then follow up with a huge left cross, and he's really dangerous at doing this. And what Nico Horta did, big sexy. God, is there a better nickname in sports? Big sexy. Nico Horta walked him down. That is what you're supposed to do against smart counterpunchers, is overwhelm them with different stuff. Tons of feints, tons of different stuff coming at you. And what he was doing was the idea of first and third. So I'm going to attack you first. You're probably going to throw back because you're a counterpuncher. And then I know that you're doing that. So I'm going to dodge it, and then I'm coming back with something. Going first and third, giving his opponent lots of things to overwhelm him with. But I think there's something that you can't train in him. Sorry, I'll go back. And his punching combinations, his kicks looked awesome. He was landing. All of his punches seem to have a lot of impact. So I'm really impressed with Big Sexy here. And I hope to see more Big Sexy. You know what I'm saying? More Big Sexy for me. What was I talking about? Awesome kickboxer. So much fun to watch. He's super entertaining and looked fast. You know, looked like, the size of a heavyweight, moving with a ton of speed. But there is a feature of him that cannot be trained, and that's his toughness. Because Sofiane Laiduni was landing a lot of shots. They just didn't affect Nico in any way. It didn't matter what he hit him with. He wasn't bothered by any of his punches, so he just kept walking through Sofiane Laiduni's punches. And even the punch count at the end was almost exactly the same. Sorry, the total strike count at the end was almost 1-for-1. But what a massive difference on... But the impact was the real kicker here. The impact was the real difference. It doesn't matter that they were almost the same in total strikes. Clearly, Big Sexy was the better fighter. And now we have even more fresh blood moving into the heavyweight division, the heavyweight division really needed a shot in the arm. Some more exciting stuff going on here. We just had the heavyweight Grand Prix not long ago, and it was a ton of fun. So now we get more exciting fighters in it, which they definitely needed. Serkan Ozkaglayan and Yenti Namadine. Yeah, Serkan was definitely in a must-win position here. I dropped 3 fights in the middleweight division. Have fought for a title, lost there, no big deal. Picked up 2 more losses after that. And Yenti Namadine was looking to make a name for himself, but he took a lot of punishment in this fight. Serkan just hit him at every opportunity with his massive overhand, with his massive hooks coming over the top. Yente was trying to land things like jabs and would always leave the door open. And every single time Serkan was landing over the shoulder, landing on his head. There was so many moments in this fight. Like there was, I think, 3 standing 8 counts or something like that. But I think the referee potentially could have waved off the fight because he was just taking so much punishment and not getting better. And it wasn't just the standing 8 counts. He was stumbling lots of times in this fight. There potentially could have been more standing 8 counts. It just wasn't matter that he didn't fall on his feet. I do wonder about maybe the corner should have thrown in the towel, because those kinds of punches that he was taking wasn't pitter patter punches, volumetric punches. They were massive overhands and massive hooks that were landing over and over again. So they were kind of life-changing in a way, and that sucks to see. But Serkan Ozkaglayan gets a major commanding victory here, adds a ton of awesome moments to his highlight reel, bounces right back into the top of middleweight here. Was a ton of fun, and was a great fight to watch, of course. Serkan was getting better, but Yente Namadine needs to work on his shoulder roll. Shoulder roll would have solved 90% of the punches that he was eating, but the timing coming from Serkan was really, really good. Fun fight there. The whole card was fun, but let's move down the card here. Looking at Angelo Volpe versus Youssef Boganem. This fight was just insane. And you could see that from the judging scorecard, that the judges were all over the place. Not just a split decision, but every round the judges couldn't decide on who was winning this round. Volpe was super impressive fighter, aggressive. Youssef, super impressive fighter, aggressive, going forward at all times. mean, once you get one tiny little opening in your opponent, they were following up with tons of combinations. And then the other person was always trying to work counter combinations off of the opponent's combinations. That means the two of them landed a bunch of times and missed a bunch of times. You had Volpe. I think he just had the edge because he angled off a lot better. He pivoted a lot better. He would land a punch, kind of angle a certain angle off of it rather than backing straight up and then land some more strikes that way, and that was very impressive. Some good jumping knees. Both forward fighters who like to work aggressively. Also loved a good catch and sweep or catch and push. Absolutely fun fight, but insane fight. Really fun. And if you judged Youssef as the winner, fine. No pushback for me on that one. It was a fun fight. Birjan Paposhi took on Ayub Buras in the featherweight division. As I said last week, this is going to be the best fight on the card. Featherweight division always brings the best fights on the card, and this was just exactly what you expected. Birjan Paposhi is always a volumetric fighter who looks to defeat his opponents by overwhelming them with punching combinations and kicking combinations. He's always pressuring. He's always going forward. And Ayub Buras here in the featherweight division answered everything. Rather than getting overwhelmed, he thought, I'll answer you shot for shot. And he was looking to counterpunch. He was ducking low to come up with combinations. He was ducking kicks, coming back with combinations. At one point, he tried a 360 back spin kick and missed, but it was cool while he tried it. But yeah, Birjan Paposhi just overwhelmed him with punches. If you're going to play the volume game against someone like Birjan Paposhi, you're going to lose. You need to find a different way to beat him, but this was an amazing fight. This was so much fun here. And just for a little perspective on how insane this fight was, this was a 9-minute fight, and the total strikes thrown was over 330 total strikes. An absolutely insane fight here. Birjan Paposhi is just a volumetric, attacking, overwhelming, exhausting fighter. And you know what? I am looking forward to, make sure to check out the Kickboxing Podcast, because he was talking about this as well. But Rise and Glory are having a 145-pound Grand Prix at the end of this year, combining Rise's best fighters in this weight class and Glory's best fighters in this weight class. And it has been an awesome division for the last year. And it has been a chaotic and stupid and wild division over the last year, where there is 4 guys there who could be number one at any moment. But I hope when that tournament goes down, Birjan Paposhi has to be a top pick in that tournament. I'm looking forward to that one. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so exciting, folks. Cannot wait for that one there. But yeah, really fun fight. If you haven't seen it, it should be up on YouTube in a few weeks. But yeah, it is on Triller or whatever you buy fights on. Main event, you had Jem Caceres take on Stefan Latuscu. Stefan Latuscu, a really highly touted fighter coming into Glory, really exciting fighter. He was fighting in K1 in their heavyweight division, had a string of first-round knockout victories. Then he signed with Glory. He even beat one of the K1 champions out there as well. Came into Glory, ton of talent, competed in the Grand Prix, had some pretty honest losses, no shame in any of that. Jem Caceres had one win over Mo Amine in Glory, and one thing that I did spot was his inside punching, and I said, this is probably going to give Stefan Latuscu some issues. But it wasn't quite that, but it was crisper punching combinations that won Jem Caceres the fight. And this is the thing of you can be wild and you can be exciting and you can be a really interesting fighter who fights unorthodox in an unorthodox manner, but honestly master the basics. The basics are going to win you fights. Even when you're in your worst states, you can be stumbling around the ring, or you can be old with, no fast twitch muscle fiber. You can be exhausted after 19 rounds of fighting or whatever it is. If you have muscle memory on the basics, those will benefit you forever. And you saw that in this fight because he won just using crisper punching. This is one of the basics. He dodged Stefan Latuscu's wide lead hook, just slipped to the outside, followed up with a hook to the body. That's as basic as it gets. That is absolutely awesome to see. Perfect work. It was picture perfect, shot to the liver. Stefan Latuscu is a very tough, very strong fighter who went down and was not able to recover in pain. But that is a punching combination that you need to go drill with the pads, with your sparring partner, on the bag, whatever it might be. Just dodging under the hook, going to the outside, dig to the body, and it's all over. perfect. You can get all your weight behind it because you're ducking low like that. You can get your hips and knees behind it. You can get your shoulders dug into your opponent's body. Absolutely picture perfect work for Chem Caceres. And just like we were talking about, the light heavyweight division keeps getting better and better. We just had an awesome Grand Prix, 2 months ago? And it was awesome. And it was really fun stacked division. Now with Mori Chroma and Chem Caceres, it gets even more exciting. It gets even better. Really looking forward to seeing how Glory pushes forward with their amazing light heavyweight division because they got more and more stars. They just had this guy. Like we were talking about Bahram Rajabzadeh, how he's maybe the most exciting fighter in sports. And now we got a Chem Caceres. We got a Mori Chroma mixing in there. We got Donegi Abina, the tremendously talented. We still got tons and tons of other guys in that division. It's just absolutely cooking. It's great work. I'm super happy to see it. Folks, Glory 94. I didn't even talk about the undercard, which had a ton of fun knockouts on it. If you get a chance, definitely check those out because the prelims are on YouTube. So make sure to check those out. Last week we had Rise 181 and I brought on a guest to talk about because I didn't know a ton about it and my guest also didn't know a ton about it. So we talked about other stupid stuff and that was fun because we got some gossip in the J-Kick world. But let's talk about Rise 181 because we had Tenshi Matsumoto. Actually, wait, hang on. I'm forgetting some big news. Black Panther dropped out of his fight due to injury against Takeru Sagawa. So Takeru Sagawa, of course, 3 weight division K1 champion, defended all of his titles, a 3 K1 Grand Prix tournament champion as well, known for his forward aggressive punching style, signed with one championship because he wanted Rodtang. Fight was booked. Rodtang dropped out like a month before the fight or something like that. Then he fought Superlek, who's totally different style. Takeru, one of the biggest superstars in Japanese combat sports, sold out the Tokyo Dome fighting Tenshin Nasukawa, who was his Cold War rival for quite a while. Tenshin Nasukawa then jumped over to professional boxing, and he's done really well. Tenshin Nasukawa is a prodigy. This guy's a phenom. And that's almost making his career an understatement with how good Tenshin Nasukawa is. Like that calling him a prodigy or phenom doesn't even do it justice of how amazing he is. Anyway, so Takeru in 1 got beat up by Superlek, and then he was booked against Black Panther. Black Panther, nice young fighter, very impressive fighter in Muay Thai. 24 years old, had never fought kickboxing in his life, but now has dropped out due to injury. And this is coming up, I believe, September 27th, I want to say. I think it's one Friday Fights 81, 87. I don't quite remember. 81, I think. So yeah, Takeru, as far as we know, is still fighting on the card because they do have a replacement ready to go. But that the replacement just hasn't been publicly named at this point. Takeru hasn't said anything at this point, whether he's aware of it, whether he's happy with it, whether, it's a huge change of opponent or whatever he feels. I think Takeru is one of those types of fighters, as we saw with when Rodtang was replaced. He just says, yeah, absolutely. I'm here to fight whoever they won't put in front of me. I will defeat anyone they put in front of me without any concern. He is that kind of guy. He's determined. Takeru, I do wish they'd just booked the Rodtang fight already because Takeru's not getting better is the thing. And I was talking to SCMP yesterday with Andrew Whitelaw about this, that and maybe I'm wrong and someone should correct me, but I just feel like there's a bit of a brain drain in his gym. And we saw that with Masaki Noiri as well, in that they're not coming up with new game plans and they're not coming up with adjustments midway through the fight. Like against Takeru, he didn't do very much to going in against a major kicker. He didn't show many shades of how to counter kicking other than trying to walk through it, which is what he was doing in K1 for years. And you can go back, all of his fights in K1 are on YouTube. They're public. You can go back and watch his fights from before 2020. You can then watch his fight against Superlek, and he's not the same Takeru. He has lost a step. He has slowed down a lot. He was always an aggressive, exciting fighter. And this is exactly what I was talking about with learning the basics. He had an unorthodox style. He was willing to take kicks and take punches, which works fine when you're young, when you're 24 and your body can recover. As you age up, though, that damage is going to begin to wear on you, but the toughness begins to leave as well. So now he's fighting, Superlek last year, and he's a bit slower than he once was. His body's not quite as tough as it once was. And that's why I like it, and he's not modifying the game plans for his opponent. So I think, and I was like Rodtang, I don't know what kind of shape he's in. I have no idea, but I can tell you that I don't think Takeru is getting in better shape. I don't think he's gaining more knowledge. I don't think he's becoming a better fighter. I do think he's slowing down. So you have to book the Rodtang fight while the iron is hot. Yeah, maybe get him a win in the organization, but okay, cool. But we do want the Rodtang fight regardless. Like that is the money fight. That is the fight that gets people excited. We can look it up online on SEO stuff. And people still want Takeru versus Rodtang. And it's a good point in their career. Like both came off losses against Superlek. I guess both have gimme fights in their next fight. So one win bounce back and then maybe put that fight early in 2025 in Tokyo. I don't know. Anyway, so that we'll keep up to date on who his replacement will be once it is officially announced. But yeah, let's take a look at Rise 181. Last week, you had Tenchi Matsumoto now has 2 first-round knockout wins via left hook. Really impressive performance. This guy just looks overwhelming. Main event at Rise 181 saw Koki Osaki defend his title. It's not the world title, it's just the regional title. It's the Japanese title in Rise. And Koki Osaki did Koki Osaki things. He is an overwhelming fighter who looks to walk you down with volume. He looks to hit you with heavy punches. When you throw punches, in this fight, it was very impressive that he was countering his opponent's punches with dodging, angling off, kicking to the body. Scored an early knockdown with a combination. Really impressive. Koki Osaki is one of the most exciting fighters that you can get your hands on. Always tune in for a Koki Osaki fight because it's going to be insane. So Rise this weekend, there's tons of good names on the card, but the main event is really what you need to keep an eye on, and that's going to be Shiro versus Toki Tamaru. They fought earlier this year, and we're going to rewatch that fight in just 1 minute here. Both of them competed in the Grand Prix and just narrowly missed each other, and that was the Grand Prix that Toki Tamaru won in the end. Toki Tamaru is a young man, just tons of talent and improving in between each fight, takes his game plan, which is, he's a lot more conservative, but he likes to stand at the mid-range and try to bait his opponents into throwing strikes. And then he just finds the tiny counter openings, attacks to the body, attacks to the head. He's usually on the back foot. He just has this really careful, smart style, but it took him all the way through the tournament. And it looked, he beat Koki Osaki and Shiro and tons of other people like that. And he was an underdog going into this tournament as well. So it was amazing to see him get all those wins and a really impressive performance. And now he's a 2-division champion in Rise, Toki Tamaru is, and a Grand Prix champion as well. And now he's going to be fighting Shiro. And I believe this is for his third. He might become a 3-weight class champion in this fight, or he relinquished one of his titles. Either way, I think we can call him a triple division champion if he's able to win this fight. Shiro's a really impressive fighter, a Muay Thai background, and an incredibly skilled fighter as well. Highly ranked on the pound for pound list. And this was a really tough fight. But before we rewatch this fight, let's quickly run through Rise, and because I think it won't take long. So you have Kan Nakamura taking on Yan Penji. The reason this won't take long is because it's like they took all their biggest names and booked them against people that I have no idea. So Kan Nakamura is a very talented, very hard-hitting knockout fighter, always looking for the knockout, always exciting, and I'm not really sure who his opponent is. Then you have Chad Collins, the Shark, fighting Yutaro Asahi. Now, Chad Collins, a really exciting fighter, Muay Thai background, went into kickboxing and was able to defeat Petch. Just such an exciting fighter. And then he took a first-round knockout loss to, I forget his name, the gentleman from Portugal. And this is what I was talking about with Berjan Proposhi, of how exciting this 145-pound weight class is. So Chad Collins is really exciting. Not really sure who his opponent is, to be honest with you. You have Lee Seung-hyung, who's always really exciting on it as well. Taiju Shiratori. You have Ryoto Nakano. You have Hayuma Hitachi. Otherwise, I'm not familiar with most of these other people, but I do like that G-Rex is fighting on this card. What a great name. G-Rex. That is the coolest name I've ever heard. I hope the G stands for gangster. God, what a cool name. I wish my name could be G-Rex. Instead, if you made me a stupid dinosaur nickname, it'd be T-Rex, which doesn't even represent me, G-Rex is the coolest name. Again, I really do hope the G stands for gangster, because that is fucking badass. Oh, that's so cool. All right, so what we're going to do to get ready for the Shiro versus Toki Tamaru fight is rewatch their first fight, because they fought earlier this year. They fought for one round, and then it was called off due to a headbutt, it accidentally opened a cut, and they had to call off the fight. So let's watch their one-round fight starting right now. You can see Shiro guard a little bit forward, trying to attack with kicks, as he is a Muay Thai striker. Toki Tamaru, southpaw stance, much more tight in his guard, looking to bait with openings, a few soft, touchy jabs there, but both looking for openings here. Faking the kick, measuring the reaction. Shiro was probably going to sweep it if it came up. Shiro got into a lot of trouble when he was fighting Kumandoi, but Kumandoi was throwing 3 lead switch kicks in a row. So maybe that will be part of the game plan for Toki Tamaru. It's just not something that we've seen him do before. He did a nice solid leg kick right there. Trying to go around the guard to land the jab, usually from the southpaw versus orthodox stance. That's not what you would want to do. Ooh, lead hand, head kick attempt, but it was solidly blocked. Shiro definitely saw it coming. Trying to control the guard, parrying, and then following with a jab, low kick. Very nice there to the open side. Jab, and then he dodged the return fire. You want to punish your opponent when you make them miss. You did the work of making them miss. Now punish them. Playing with the jab. Lead hand game is going to be very important when you have southpaw versus orthodox. Yeah, playing with the lead hand. Just a lightning fast piston jab there. Returning with a cross. Yep, lead hand games. Returning 1, 2. Nothing on it though. Playing with the lead hand. Downloading the data. They're downloading the data. That's what they always say when nothing's happening. Eh? It says measuring the data. But yeah, not much is happening. The two are just fainting at each other. Looking to land a hook, but just attacked him on the inside. Dodge the hook, no problem. Nice shoulder roll. Always looking to have that lead hand out there to counter, just get in your opponent's face, especially from the southpaw versus orthodox stance. Faking a cross there. Yep, just throwing the jab to frustrate him, throwing a kick. Oof, God, that lead hand work is just absolutely amazing from Toki Tamaru. Yeah, look at that. Look at that angle. Just cutting so fast at getting across when your opponent is throwing a hook, so there's nothing on it. Anyway, that's the end of the round, and I believe they just wave it off due to a cut because of the headbutt. Anyway, yeah, it's an exciting fight because it just feels like we're getting started, and they're two fighters who are, at the top of their weight class. They're at the top of the division, at the top of the world. We're talking about a guy becoming a triple crown champion, a triple weight champion in divisions that almost all the top guys are pound for pound ranked. So it's a massive fight. Now, not a ton was happening there, but it was a 5-round fight where the stakes are extremely high. But I mean, if you like nerdy Tekker's kickboxing, that is the fight. This is the fight for you. And I love nerdy Tekker's kickboxing where, we're not showering our opponent in problems like Koki Osaki of just throwing Gatling gun-like punches, hoping that half of them land. Shiro and Toki Tamaru are picking their shots. Anyway, it's absolutely awesome. I don't think we have anything else to really talk about. Now, some people have asked me about how I keep my house so clean. And, a lot of us grew up in desert-like conditions. I grew up in a very dry climate in where I was from in Canada. My wife, same thing. She grew up in a dry climate in the desert. And so we moved to the UK. Turns out it was super humid here and people have to live very differently. So we're going to do a couple of different things and I'm going to show you some different stuff. So one of the problems that we were running into in the winter was you can't open any windows. And in the UK, they don't have any dryers. So you hang up your clothes. It's cold in the house. You can't get any fresh air in. Your clothes stay moist for days. If you have a shower, the moisture isn't going anywhere. You can't open the windows. Again, it's going to freeze. That's just the UK. That's just the way they design things here. In Canada, that's not a problem. We turn on the heat. We have a dryer. Done. But there's not that here. So what you have to do, you have to get a dehumidifier. Now, one of these bad boys, I would say pay extra for a really good one. This will clean up, make sure after showering, everything's nice and dry in the house. But for laundry, it's amazing how quickly it can help dry your clothes. If you get a space heater and a dehumidifier, yes, that is a little bit of expensive on electricity, but I do recommend it. And people were asking about it, so make sure to check it out. But let's hear from, why hear from me? Let's ask them. Yeah, good stuff. So I am also of the philosophy that if you are going to buy something, spend a little bit of extra money and buy it for life. In the UK, the Henry Hoovers are very good. This is a hypoallergenic one, so that there is exhaust always coming out of vacuums. This processes it so you don't have any allergies coming out the other side. It has a cute little face on it. It has a cute little color. But what's really nice about these is they work extremely well and all the parts are replaceable. So in 10 years, if this breaks down, you can buy a replacement part for it. They're also extremely high quality vacuums. Now, these aren't cheap, but the idea is that you can probably use this vacuum for 15 to 20 years. I know a lot of people have been asking about this, so thank you so much for your questions. Keep sending them in. But yeah, let me show you how it works. So yeah, you just kind of go over the carpet with your vacuum cleaner. But let me show you, if you need to get that other stuff, you just pull that out. And then you can use this to clean up, dust or whatever's going on. To add, the bottom part also comes out. Now you can use this. Let's say you want to get up top on your roof, right? No problem. That's done now. So yeah, that's, and then you put it back in, and now you got that head going on. Again, let me show you. So yeah, it's just kind of like a vacuum this looks really nice. Look at the lighting. This looks really good. I can do more from the hallway.